Hello, my name is William, and I'm here to talk to you about the American Ninja Warrior Season 10 Philadelphia Qualifiers in approximately 20 minutes or less, starting right now. So this was a very special episode. Why? Because I was there, and I saw it live. I was in the audience. You can see me. I saw myself a whole bunch of times because I was hanging out around the first three obstacles in the audience, and so many runs I could see myself and be like, that's me! That's me right there. I could see me. And so, yeah, that was fun. This was a good episode. Overall. It was a good episode to watch live. I'll just say this, I highly suggest watching these shows live, if you get the chance. If A&W's in your town, and you have a chance to see in the audience, go see it. It's going to be a long night, so don't expect to go to work the next morning, but, it's fun, especially when you have people around you. I had good people around me in the audience. I'll put it at that. But let's go through the course. So first up, of course, was the floating steps. Then we had the spinning bow ties. It's a very simple obstacle. Basically, you got two handles you got to swing from. They're like in a bow tie shape. From what I was told by people who had tested the obstacle, and also I think I saw them say this during the parts of the show where they tell everyone what's going on. The course run through. There, thank you. You're allowed to grab that curved part, but there was really no benefit to doing that. Also, it's kind of hard to tell just by watching, but there's a limit to how far you can actually swing. So I'll say that it limits how far you can swing. Then we had the Broken Bridge, classic obstacle. Took out a lot more people than I thought it would, but it's fine. I think I have more respect for Broken Bridge now that I saw it in person. Then we have the Wing Nuts, classic Wing Nuts from last season. Good, solid obstacle. I was a big fan of the Wing Nuts last year. Then we had a new obstacle called the Lightning Bolts. So you got three pairs of holders that are on tilt. And you got a bar on each side of the holster. You got to get to the other side. Then you got to jump a gap to the second holster, jump to the other side of the holster, and then to the third holster. And yeah, and you're not allowed to dismount until you get to the very end. I think that's important to bring up. And then of course you have the dual warped walls. So what to bring up? So I'm going to be kind of inserting insider knowledge as someone who was in the audience a little bit during this episode. So Jason Avant from the Philadelphia Eagles was the first person that they brought up. He failed the Wing Nuts. I actually got to talk to him a little bit afterwards. Basically, he hit the wing nut with his shoulder and stuff. But yeah, he went out. He had a good first run. One thing that I like was that between just obstacles 2 through 5, those 4 in the middle, there was a relatively even spread of failures. You look at the full course, it's relatively even between the 4. It wasn't there was an obstacle that was super difficult. Lightning Bolt's definitely difficult. Was definitely the most difficult of the obstacles, but it was an even spread, and I appreciate it, especially as someone who was there and had to watch all the runs. One thing that's worth mentioning is that only 85 people ran this course, which is kind of weird because this was the one episode where they said 100 people take on the course, which was a bit weird. Because it's the only one where that's not true. But there was a lot of rain both nights. The rain was really bad. We had a rain delay at one point, and then it just wouldn't stop raining. And I believe there was 15 people who didn't get to run and got moved to Minneapolis. And some of those names, I don't know all the names, but some of the names that you might know are Michael Torres, John Alexis Jr., and Joe Morawski are 3 names that I remember for sure off the top of my head who were supposed to compete in Philadelphia but didn't because of the rain. Basically, they had a call the second night, and then I remember from what I was being told, there was originally some plans to finish the qualifiers the second night, but it kept raining, so they, instead of doing both qualifiers and finals the same night, they just did finals, and it was, oh my god, the rain just caused such a big mess. It doesn't come across it on TV, but it did, trust me. So I guess I'm gonna go out of order here, but like, so one of the things that I want to bring up is the fact that this was the first episode where three women cleared a course, and I was it was cool that I got to see that. I remember everyone being really surprised with Casey Rothschild because there was, at least in the area that I was in the audience, no one knew who she was. And I mean, fair enough. She's like, rookie. She's like 20 years old. I think most people didn't know this. But like, yeah. So we saw her clear the course, and it was like, well, it was like a big surprise. There was like that moment of like uncertainty, like whether she actually would, because it took her 3 tries. But yeah, it was cool seeing her. Both Alyssa Beard and Michelle Wonky both clear the course. Also, that was really cool to hear. Just to give you a bit of a behind-the-scenes thing, Daria, her mother Daria, and Alyssa did not run that close to each other. There was like actually a big gap in between the two of them running their runs on the course. Alyssa ran much later in the night compared to when Daria did. One of the things I wanted to bring up was Anthony DeFranco. They watching this on TV was very interesting because because I had already seen it live. But basically, they really sort of played up, he's been the fastest time for a few years now. And they did this whole thing with, like, his sister and all that. But, like, then he fails the floating steps. And the whole big surprise and all that, kind of... I know what they were going for. They were kind of, like, building it up just to let you down, essentially. I have some knowledge of what happened. And I know this because my source is Anthony DeFranco. He told a bunch of us in the crowd, including me, basically afterwards, came to the crowd, a big group of ninjas, as well as myself, were all there. I don't remember who, one of the guys there, he was like, I'm gonna do the one step also, if I ever got the chance. I'm like, it's not worth doing the one step. And that's part of the thing, is that Anthony wanted to do the one step. And it created a little bit of debate in the audience about whether or not doing the one step was a good idea. But basically what happened was, so for those of you unaware, the 3, 2, 1, go buzzer that you hear, that's added in post. So you don't actually hear that. So basically what happened was Anthony DeFranco wanted to one-step the floating steps. But he got, I guess, sort of rushed by the producers, if I'm remembering what he said correctly. He felt like he was being rushed by the producers, and he didn't give himself enough run-up as he would have needed to do the one-step approach that he needed. Basically, he needed an extra step on the starting platform, but he was like, when the producer on the sideline was telling him to go, he wasn't like, in that spot, and so it was created a bit of a confusion in his mind, if I was understanding him correctly. But basically, the idea was he wanted to one-step it. He made a mistake for various reasons, and he messed up, and that's what happened. So honestly, like, in my personal opinion, if you ever get an American Ninja Warrior, one-stepping is just not worth it. Like, it's just not. Like, yeah, it looks cool, but, like, you're not going to save that much time. I know this is a time course, and time is important, but it's not worth it in the long run. You don't want to fail. Speaking of not failing, Chris Wilczewski. One thing that was, I had no idea about his backstory, and that's part of the reason why he took a year off. I knew nothing about that, but I remember seeing him clear the Mega Wall live. That was surprising. That was really cool. Just for the record, he was technically the second person that night. They showed Najee ran very early in the night, actually, but I was very surprised to see him get out of the Mega Wall. Really cool. He looked really good on the course. Very, very happy to see him. There was quite a few people I was happy to see do well. I was happy to see Mike Bernardo clear it. I was happy to see Jason McGrath clear, especially after, the year he had last year with sort of some difficulty, like recovering from his shoulder. So really glad to see him do that. I would have liked to seen both of them get up the Mega Wall, but that didn't happen. What you gonna do? Also, who else I want to bring up? Oh yeah, Chad Riddle, the kindergarten teacher. I remember him. He wasn't the first person to actually clear the course, but I remember he was early. He was very early in the night. And I remember, because I was mostly towards the beginning of the course, so I remember him hitting the buzzer 2 times, and like, oh, there was a lot of us in the audience like, what's that? What's up with that? Now, having to see in the episode, now we know. Hey, that's pretty cool. Oh yeah, the pitch failure when Akbar did the pitch for the Philadelphia Phillies. They aired that clip at the actual taping as well. They kept giving Akbar a hard time. They would not let him live that down. In fact, the second night was it the second night or was it the first night? It was the second night. Yeah, it was the second night. They gave away a baseball that was autographed by Akbar. That was pretty cool. I think the producer gave it to like a little girl. That was cool. But that's just sort of like bring up the whole like, the baseball thing even more. By the way, I just want to bring this up. Both nights, there was not a single point where I saw Christine Leahy. I don't know where this woman was. She was there, apparently, doing interviews, but I never saw her in person. So that was weird. Also, just sort of a funny moment. During one of the fast forward segments, this is around the middle-ish. This was right before Casey Rothschild took on the course. But there was this woman named Alexandra. I wrote Mac as her last name, but that might not be correct. But she ended up failing the bow ties. But what happened was, for me, because you can see me in the crowd. So one thing we in the crowd realize watching the course is that if you're going to do the bow ties, you got to do big swings. That's the secret, big laches. And so as she's doing this obstacle, you can see me clearly clapping, going, big swing, big swing. That's generally what I did when I was standing around the second obstacle, was just let people know, big swing, big swing. And you see me right on the guardrail, too, so I'm right front and center. And she did a really, she didn't launch off the first bow tie to the second bow tie very well, and she failed. And as she's falling, you just see me do just a big disappointed head shake, and that made me laugh. That made me laugh, just to see myself be disappointed in this random woman not doing well. Speaking of doing well, one thing I want to talk about is David Cavanagh and Matt Strollo. Matt Stroll especially, because Matt Stroll did not get featured at all. But they're 2 walk-ons who both clear the course. And, more importantly, if memory serves me right, Matt Stroll was the second person to take on the course, and David Cavanagh was the third person to take on the course, which means for a brief moment of time, there were actually more clears than failures on this course. I remember when I was just get a little behind the scenes, when I was getting my wristband to get in, one of the producers was handling tickets at the time, and he had the list of the run order for the night, and I remember I think it was the first 7 were walk-on names, and so I took a quick little look, and I saw Matt Strollo and David Cavanagh as second and third, and I remember looking at that and being like, oh, David Cavanagh had to walk on again, and yeah, unfortunately, so I wasn't a fan of that. Kind of wish that he could not have to keep doing the walk-on line. So yeah, just a little behind the scenes for a brief moment in time. There was more clears than failures. And actually, shout out to both of them, just because, having to clear a course with essentially not a lot of runs ahead of time, showing you how it's done is good to do. It's good stuff. And then finally, Najee Richardson. I don't remember him getting cramps on the course. I mean, obviously it happened, but I just remember filming. I cannot remember if we in the audience noticed, but yeah, he looked good on the course. This was a course that was very much played to his strengths. A lot of laches and stuff. Him being a gymnast. This was definitely a pro Najee course, to say the least. Ended up getting the mega wall, which was really cool. But yeah, like I said, he ran a lot earlier than Chris did. But Either way, Najee got the $10,000. So good on him. Good on him and good on everyone. It was a good night. It was a wet night, but it was a good night overall. And so let's just go through some stats. We had 85 competitors, and in this episode, we saw 13 full runs and 2 runs that were started mid-progress, as well as 27 fast forwards. And of the 12 clears, 11 of them were shown on this episode. So let's go through the leaderboard. So we had 12 clears in total. First place was Chris Wilczewski, who cleared the mega wall and got the $10,000 bonus. David Cavanagh, Matt Stroll, Jamie Ron, James McGrath, Najee Richardson, who also cleared the mega wall and got the $10,000 bonus. Chad Riddle, Mike Bernardo, Judas Licodario, Michelle Wonke, Alyssa Beard, and Casey Rothschild. By the way, I just want to bring up with the women, I have no idea when they filmed that segment of the 3 women on the warped wall. I have no idea when they filmed that because I don't remember seeing that, so I'm kind of curious when they took the time to film that part. Anyway, so the remaining 18 people on the top 30 all failed the lightning bolts, that being Lucas Reale, Zach Day, Tyler Waters, Chris Fantuzzo, Christian Dubrace, Angel Rodriguez, Cody Coppola, Alex Nye, Andrew Schreck, James Bartholomew, Logan Craiglaw, Darian Bennett, Sean Johnson, Gavin Ross, Paul Gary III, Brian Pease, Ryan Lee, and John Uga. And I just want to say, because so many people got moved to Minneapolis because of the rain, the last few people on this list should probably be thanking the gods that the rain happened. Because you got to figure people like John Alexis and Michael Torres and Joe Morosky probably would have made it onto the top 30. No guarantee, but definitely makes it easier when the people don't get to run at all. So, they should consider themselves lucky. We only need 2 women to fill out the top 5, that being Cara Polalio, who failed the lightning bolts, and McKinley Pierce, who failed the wing nuts. But McKinley also got a bit lucky because, again, just a little bit of insider info. There was a woman named Angela Gargano. I just want to bring this up because she deserves some recognition. She actually cleared the wing nuts during her run on the course. But, unfortunately, when she landed, after completing, she blew out her knee. I don't know the extent of her injury, but I do know when she landed, she fell, she grabbed her knee, she couldn't walk. Basically, she had to forfeit her run right then and there. And so, because she cannot continue, her run gets thrown out of the pool of the leaderboard. Similar to what happened with April Steiner-Bennett in Dallas. And so, McKinley was the benefactor of this. Obviously, by clearing the wing nuts, Angela would have been good enough for at least the top 5 women. Who's to say whether or not she would have made it into the top 30 or not? We'll never know because we never got to see how well she would do on the lightning bolts. But and also because I don't remember how fast she was to get through the wing nuts, so I can't compare times. But yeah, rather unfortunate. But that is everything that I want to say about Philadelphia, and I'm going to stop it right now. I'm still under 20 minutes. I've been doing pretty well with this under 20 stuff. But let me know what you thought about the Philadelphia Qualifier. Did you see me in the audience at all? And if you didn't, you should go watch it again and then tell me that you saw me in the audience. I look pretty good, honestly. Did you like the new obstacles? Did you like the fact that we had 3 women clear the course? Let me all know if you like what you saw in this video. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you next time when I talk about the Minneapolis Qualifiers. Until then, see you later, guys.